Story time. This was 11 years ago, but it came up in my memories on Facebook. So we used to live in California. We had 3 kids, and we prayed to Jehovah whether it was the right move for us to move to Washington to be near my father-in-law and his wife. And we decided that if it was Jehovah's will, we would have approval for a house, a place to live. And so we got approved for an apartment, and that Cedric would have a job offer, and that would be Jehovah giving us the go. And so both of those things happened. And so we made the 1,000-mile journey to move up here to be close to family who would be loving and supportive of us. His dad was the only one who hadn't experienced the pregnancy and the newborn stage of grandparenthood. And so we wanted to give that gift to him. And then when we announced to them that we were pregnant, their words were, "Not my problem. Probably in April, the new baby will be born. Better you than me."
Why is that you and not me?
That was not the result that we were expecting. And then a couple days later, he took Cedric aside, basically told him, "You need to get a vasectomy." So by that time, we realized that we weren't going to have love and support. Anyways, we loved our congregation. Cedric was working 12-hour shifts at night. And that was incredibly difficult to keep 3 and then 4 little kids quiet inside an apartment that had no yard. Was horrible. It was hard. It was difficult to make our meetings with the night shift and all that. And so when our scheduled meetings were at a time we couldn't make because of Cedric's job, like at 6 p.m., which is when he was leaving to go to work, we would make Sunday meetings at 10 a.m. whatever congregation in English was available. So by the time I was nearing the end of the pregnancy with my 4th, a really good friend of ours asked, like, "What do you guys need? What can we do?" And I said, well, back when we were in California, we were in a really small town. The whole congregation was like family. And so anytime anyone would have a baby or surgery or anything like that, we all knew about it, and we would all pitch in. We would all make meals and send meals to each other. And I was like, that was so cool, and that would really be helpful. I said that to our friend, and he said, "I'm on it. I've got it. Don't you worry about a thing. I totally got this covered." And so when we had the baby, first night, somebody brought over a meal for us, and it was so kind. And then one of the young brothers came and watched the kids for us for a little bit, took them down to the park for a few minutes so that we could get some rest. And then I think it was around the 3rd day that our friend called us back, and he was like, "I'm so sorry to have to tell you this. I think I stepped on some toes or something, but somebody, I think, has talked to the elders, and apparently there's some sort of procedure you have to go through, some sort of bureaucratic thing in order to get help." And I was like, I don't understand. Like, you're our friend. They're our friends, the people who you contacted to help out. Like, what's the issue? And he's like, I know. I'm so sorry. He's like, just call your elders. And at that time, he was trying, I think he was a ministerial servant, and he was trying to, rank up and do things by the book. And so he was trying to be very procedural. And so we're like, we get it. And so we called our, I don't remember the term for it. They've changed it probably even again since it was like our PO, our conductor. He was in charge of our group, and we were in it. And he was rather new to the congregation. He had been transferred to our congregation, which now I realize is never a good thing. And so he wasn't a very gentle person. He was rather crass and we hadn't gotten to know him very well, but from what we had heard of his talks and things on the platform and just in dealing with him for a little bit, he was not a very warm individual. And so I called him because Cedric was not in a space, in a mental capacity to deal with this person. We were 3 or 4 days postpartum. I'm laying in bed, still recovering, and I had to make this phone call to this elder. And I was like, yeah, I understand that there's some issue with us. Like, our friend was trying to get us some meals from our other friends, like, delivered. And he goes, oh yeah, you have to go through a procedure. So do you need, like, hospitality? Did you have a surgery or something? I was like, no, I mean, we gave birth at home by ourselves and assisted, and like, I can get up and cook, but like, we have 4 little kids now and it's very difficult. And so we were just getting hospitality from our friends. And he goes, well, you have to go through a certain procedure to get congregational hospitality. And we're like, I don't understand. Like, these are our friends. They were just, being kind. And he goes, well, unless you need hospitality, you can't be doing it. And we're like, it doesn't make sense. And he goes, are you even making your meetings? It looks from your records that you're not making your meeting attendance. And so I explained to him that with my husband's work schedule, we make our meetings when and where we can. And because that year the meetings had been switched to night on Sundays, we tended to go to this other congregation for morning meeting. And he goes, well, if you're going to that meeting more often, then we'll just switch your records over there. And I was like, you're kicking us out of our congregation? You can't do that. And I was like in tears. I was crying on the phone with this man, and he had like no compassion, like no empathy. He was as cold and crass as could be. At one point, he told me that he shouldn't even be talking to me because I'm a woman. He should be talking to my husband because he's the head of the household. I'm like, my husband is asleep right now because he worked a night shift last night. Our baby is 3 days old. I'm still recovering, and he's been up with colic every night. So he can't come to the phone right now. So I'm handling this. Cedric laying right next to me, just fuming and trying to sleep. I hung up from that phone call, and I looked at my husband, and he looked at me, and I was like, we just got kicked out of our congregation. The one thing that we had where we felt connected to people after moving 1,000 miles away, after basically losing our family that we had moved to be closer to, the only people that we felt connected to, we were just kicked out of. And I looked at him and I said, well, now that he's basically moved us into a new congregation, we could just fade. Like, is this what we're being told to do? Like, we just don't have to go to meetings anymore. Nobody would miss us. Nobody would know. And we decided that we're not serving people. We're serving Jehovah. We fought all of those instincts and inclinations. And this was after certain doubts and certain things had occurred already that made us question what we were doing in this religion. And this felt like the straw that broke the camel's back. But we stayed for another 4 years after that. I told my father-in-law's wife that we had been getting help from our friends giving us meals, and then we had that stop because we were supposed to go through the elders. She goes, oh yeah, that's supposed to be through a procedure. And I go, yeah, he said that somebody called and put an end to it. And she goes, I bet I know who it was. And she made sure to tell me that it was the sister down the street. And she made sure to tell me what color skin this sister had and that she bet it was her. And I said, Cedric, come here. She thinks she knows who it was. Yeah, come listen to this. She'll tell you. And we asked her, so who was it? And she said it again. And I said, that's really weird. Okay, so we should probably call the elders and get the elders involved because this is causing a division. And all of that sort of thing. And she admitted it was her.